Hey guys, it's Lawrence here with Stealth Belt. Today I'd like to talk about preventing leaks. I know we've all had them. I've certainly had my share over the years, in bed, on a date, at work, every kind of horrible scenario you can imagine. So I'm going to share some top tips today on how to keep those leaks to a minimum so we can enjoy a really high quality of life. First thing would be to make sure that the area around your stoma is clean and dry. Critical, right? I usually take a shower when I change my appliance. So when I get out of the shower, I dry it with a towel, and then I take some toilet paper and dry it even further, and then I let it air out for a minute or two. Then I dry it again. I want to make sure that skin is really completely dry and clean so the adhesion can fit properly. All right, the next thing I do is I put on a no sting barrier film. This stuff is great, okay? What it does is it helps prevent any further irritation to the skin when you're using an adhesive property regularly on the skin. So this is kind of a critical prep state to keep your skin in really good condition. And I got to tell you, it doesn't sting at all. I can't believe it because I've got some irritation around my stomach quite a bit. And I don't know how they did this. All right, after I put on the barrier film, I grab my barrier ring. I love these things. Not everyone uses one. I do. I think they're great. You can mold them with your hands, and then I put it around my stoma, and it's very form-fitting. You want the barrier ring and your appliance to both fit within about 1/8 of an inch away from your stoma. You don't want them so close that they irritate the stoma, and you don't want them so far away that skin's exposed and therefore irritated by the output. So I use one of these. It's very precise, and I put that all around my stoma, and after that, I'll put on my appliance. Now, I use a flat appliance, and I do want to recommend that some people consider using a convex-shaped appliance. It just depends on your situation. If you've got some deep recesses around your stoma or irregularities due to the surgeries, a convex-shaped appliance can help significantly. So speak to your nurse about that if it's something you think might benefit you. With my flat appliance, I basically just cut out this circle after I put on my barrier ring. The nice thing about using the barrier ring is when I cut this circle out, it doesn't have to be as precise. It doesn't have to be that perfect 1/8 inch away because my barrier ring provides that extra coverage. And therefore, I don't have to be as precise with this cut. And it's kind of convenient for me. Now, some people use a paste after they put on their barrier ring and their appliance, and all that does, it's kind of like a caulk. It will fill in the gaps, especially, again, if you have irregularities in that area and you're experiencing frequent leaks. So the paste can be very beneficial from what I've heard. I personally have never used it, but it does seem like a very practical tool to consider if you're having some specific leak issues. So check that out. All right, so once everything is in place, I've got the barrier ring, the appliance on, I'm going to apply a little pressure. I'm going to take my hand like that. I'm going to put my stoma kind of through my fingers there, and I'm just going to apply some gentle pressure for about 5 or 10 minutes. I just want to make sure that the heat from my hand can kind of warm up the barrier ring and the appliance adhesive, and I want to give it a little pressure and some time, usually 5 to 10 minutes, to just make sure the seal is permanent. This is probably one of the most critical steps for avoiding any type of leakage, because in the past I haven't done that step and my barrier ring was kind of loose and the inner lip came up and I would get some output underneath that and it would cause a real problem. So I love that step. Okay, after I've applied the pressure, I'm going to put on my stealth belt. Stealth belts are great because we have this little hole here and we can put our appliance through the hole, and then we have all this extra fabric, and what that's going to do is apply some pressure against the barrier and push it a little further into our skin area, and then we can actually cinch up the stealth belt and make it a little tighter. Like usually after I put an appliance on, I will take my pro belt and I will tighten it down pretty good so that I have a little extra pressure for the next hour or so on the appliance that I put on, and then after I feel comfortable about everything, I'll just loosen the belt up and go about my day. Another great tip is to empty your appliance frequently. You know, about 1/3 full, maybe a half full is a great time to empty your appliance so that the output doesn't build up inside of the appliance, and then it can actually sit in the area around your stoma, and that can obviously lead to some potential leaks. So frequent emptying can go a long way towards giving us a better life. Something else I'm careful about after I put on my appliance, and even after I've had it on for a while, is bending. You know, I bend a lot. I'm putting on shoes. Maybe I'm going to the gym. I'm pulling weeds. And all that bending can certainly cause some stress to the adhesion. And so right after I put on my appliance, I will always, if I bend, I will always put my hand here and kind of stabilize the appliance as I bend over. And I try to avoid it if possible, at least for the first hour or two. And even after the appliance has been on for a while, I'll still sometimes take that extra precaution because bending is obviously going to have an impact on the shape of the plastic and the appliance itself. So just be careful. Now, my favorite tip is to change your appliance the moment you recognize irritation. In the past, I have failed to do this. I have experienced irritation around my stoma and my barrier ring, and I have ignored it. I have just continued to go about my day because other things were more important. And what I learned was if you don't take care of that irritation, what you're doing is damaging skin. And I've had situations where my skin was so red and inflamed around my stoma that it took a couple days before I could really get a proper seal around my appliance again. So I've learned my lesson, and now when I have an irritation, it's just an alarm clock to change my appliance as soon as possible. So listen to your body. All right, last tip. Let's say you have a big event coming up. Maybe you're going to a wedding or a sporting event. Maybe you have a job interview, something important, and you really don't want to have a leak. Manage your output. It's pretty simple to do. We all know that when we eat, our stomach can become activated in a certain period of time after that. And some of us have a better sense of when our stomach is going to be active in general. So pay attention to the output that you experience through your days. And as you dial in your awareness of when your body is going to be activated, you can use that to your advantage. So if I have a big event coming up, I'm probably going to time it pretty precisely. I'm not going to eat before the event. I'm not going to eat at the event until maybe towards the end, because I'll know that there'll be a bit of a delay before my output begins. But if there's no output, there's no leak. So just realize that managing output can also help us avoid the fear and uncertainty of a potential leak in an important situation. So try it. All right, so those are my tips. I've had a stoma now for 5 years. That's what I've learned. If there's anything else that I haven't covered or that you know and you want to share with the community, please post that below. If you'd like to see videos on any other topics, post that below as well. We will definitely get to it. I just want to say thank you and stay tuned. There'll be more to come.